This is the I Am Rapaport podcast, and this is an emergency podcast. This is the whitewash of the Oscars, or the white Oscars, or the Oscar snubs podcast. The episode about the Oscars, my opinions at the I Am Rapaport podcast, and the opinions of my sidekick,
G Moody.
And we're doing it. We're doing it. I'm going to jump right into it. So the Oscars were announced last week, and G Moody, how many of the films that were nominated did you see?
0.
Okay, so G Moody is not going to be speaking in specifics because he doesn't see fucking movies. Me, on the other hand, I saw most of the films. And the big snub that they are talking about is for the film Selma, which is the civil rights drama about the march, Dr. Martin Luther King. Great film, first-time director, black female, African-American female director. She was not nominated for Best Director.
Right.
But Selma the film was nominated for Best Picture.
Good.
Okay? And obviously it's a predominantly black cast. Oprah Winfrey had something to do with it. She might have produced it. She acts in it. People are pissed that this director was not nominated for Best Director, but the film was nominated. So for Best Film, they give 8 film nominations.
Right.
Okay? And they were this year American Sniper, which I saw, which is great. Birdman, which I saw, which is great. Boyhood, which I liked. Grand Budapest Hotel, which I liked. The Imitation Game, which I liked. The Theory of Everything, which I really liked. And Whiplash, which I liked. And then for Best Director, Alejandro Iñárritu, I can't say his name, he directed this film called Birdman, should win. Great fucking film, totally innovative, unique, one-of-a-kind film. Richard Linklater, Boyhood, Bennett Miller, Foxcatcher, Wes Anderson, and Morton Tildum, who did Imitation Game. So the problem is that Selma was nominated for Best Picture, but not Best Director. And no other black performers were nominated in any other categories for acting. What do you have to say about this whole controversy?
I don't like the picketing about there being no black people getting awards or whatever nominated for the awards for the Oscars.
What do you have to say about the Oscars?
They're good. And like you told me, you said, films, it's not like, Rookie of the Year, the best.
You can't, it's subjective. It's not sports. It's not arm wrestling. It's not the Super Bowl. Here's a couple of things how I feel about the Oscars. Number one, Raging Bull was nominated for Best Film versus Ordinary People in 1980. Raging Bull lost to Ordinary People. Goodfellas was nominated against Dances with Wolves, also directed by actor turned director, Mr. America guy, Kevin Costner. That film won, and that film won Best Director. At the end of the 80s, after all the films in the 80s, all the great films in the 80s were released, Raging Bull was voted Best Film of the entire decade.
Wow.
90s, Goodfellas was voted Best Film of the entire decade. So the point is that the Oscars, and I don't mean to say that they don't mean shit, because if I ever got nominated for an Oscar, I'd be fucking happy as shit. But you have to keep it in perspective because they've gotten it wrong many, 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 many times. Even this year, American Sniper was nominated for Best Picture, but, I mean, you couldn't be more of Hollywood's golden man. Clint Eastwood was not nominated for Best Director. So is that a snub? Is that a Oscar?
Right.
It's like if Clint Eastwood, so that's probably his best film that he directed, in my opinion, or his best film in a while, since the Western, which I think it was called Unforgotten. I can't remember. It's a good film. It was a great film. I think he won the Oscar for that. But if they're going to leave off this first-time director, Ava, who did a fantastic job in Selma, there's always disappointments. Who gives a fuck? Making it about race, and in the last few years, so many African-American performers and directors have been acknowledged. It's not always about race. It doesn't have to be a protest.
Stop picketing over bullshit.
Stop picketing over fucking bullshit.
It's a fucking...
Everybody, not white people, black. Cut the fucking shit.
Yeah, please.
It's the fucking Oscars.
Come on. Oh, you're going to picket outside that?
And you're going to hashtag shit? And the thing is also, is like, you're picketing over Selma, the director of Selma not being nominated, and other actors, the lead actor who was great as Martin Luther King not being nominated. Did you see the fucking movie?
Word.
Did you go to everybody that tweeted about the Oscar whitewash or the white Oscars or the black snubs or whatever the fuck you're calling it? Did you see the movie? You're going to say yes, but I don't fucking believe you.
Right.
Because if everybody who tweeted about that shit saw Selma would be a huge box office success.
Exactly.
So are you just tweeting because you feel like it's something to protest and complain about? Or did you take your ass to the movies? But, motherfuckers are going to get snubbed. Al Pacino. He did not win. He got nominated, but he did not win for The Godfather 1, Godfather 2, Dog Day Afternoon, Serpico, Scarface, Carlito's Way.
None of that.
The best shit he's ever done, he didn't win for. So it's like, was that an Italian-American snub?
Right.
It doesn't have to be a fucking protest. Obviously, the Oscars have gotten better. Obviously, there were years and years and years where they were shitting on black actors and black directors, but it's gotten way better. It doesn't have to, and even if it is, it's not worth a fucking protest.
It's not.
All right? It's not worth a fucking protest. What were you saying earlier about...
I said, stop picketing, number one, for everything, right? You can't force this motherfucker to love you. You can't force somebody to do the things you expect. So the point I'm making is, instead of picketing, you should fucking try to do your own shit. The only way we get awards is when they have us in them servitude positions. And this is what I don't fucking like. The movie The Help.
Yes. Did you see it?
Yeah.
Okay, you didn't like it.
The Butler.
Yeah.
You see?
But you don't like that? Did you?
No, you know why I don't like it as a black person? I don't like it because they make it seem like those people were delighted to do those things.
But what if they were?
They weren't.
Okay.
They weren't. And that's a time that black people don't want to fucking remember.
Right.
So you're a billionaire, and these are the movies you make. You see, that's not a good time for us collectively.
Right.
We're dominated.
Right.
We're in a position of servitude. We don't want to see that on the screen. Why don't you fucking make movies? You're a billionaire. Movies about the triumph of the human spirit, meaning the slave that's in the fucking field, right? That runs away and fucking burns down some of them plantations and runs through the forest all the way to Canada.
But Django had that
Django
shit.
was a fucking comic book.
Right.
What motherfucker a slave gonna be walking with this motherfucker? See? Look at Spielberg.
Yes.
Schindler's List.
Yes.
That's triumph of the human spirit. That's coming out of that shit.
Yeah. You're right.
That's not delighting in that.
Right.
You think that fucking Butler was happy? He wanted to kill them motherfuckers.
Right.
That's what I don't like.
Good shit, G Moody on
The Oscars.
the Oscars. This is the I Am Rapaport podcast. Here's another thing I want to say about the Oscars. Martin Scorsese, another Italian-American. Maybe they're going
to start picketing.
Maybe they're going to start picketing. Did not win Best Director for Taxi Driver, Mean Streets. Taxi Driver, Mean Streets. Right there, he didn't.
Those are, I don't watch movies, and I saw that shit.
King of Comedy, After Hours, Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore. Of course, Raging Bull. He didn't win Best Director for. Nominated, Goodfellas, Cape Fear. By the time he won an Oscar, it was a joke. Goodfellas, he didn't win an Oscar for. So I'm just saying again,
it's not race.
It's not always race. It's like sometimes it's and and then Al Pacino won Best Oscar for Best Actor for Scent of a Woman, which to me is a subpar Al Pacino performance. You can't look into it too much. It's just it's not fucking rock. It's not totally correct.
It's flawed.
I mean, can you say fuck them when they don't nominate you, but cry tears of joy when you do win one?
Right.
So the same people that are making you cry because you're so happy because you won one, you say fuck them.
Right.
It's I don't know.
These guys are just looking.
People are like, it's shocking.
Right.
No, what happened in Paris? That's shocking.
Right.
They're like, it's shocking. The shocking Oscar snubs. This is the I Am Rapaport podcast. This is an emergency podcast about the fucking Oscars. And I think we covered it. See Selma before you make an opinion about it not being nominated. That's my first fucking thing. And what other films? You gotta go to the movies and see all the films. You can't just, did you see all the films to make an opinion? You didn't.
You can't be talking shit.
You got to see all the fucking films. The one thing I will say about Marion Cotillard, I can't pronounce the name, beautiful French actress. She's nominated for Best Actress when she's in a film where she's speaking French. I don't agree with that. I don't think foreign films you should get nominated for a performance that's not in English. Period. This is the Oscars. It's American film. That's why we have Best Foreign Film.
Yep.
If you want to do Best Foreign Film performance by a woman, do that. But you can't have a French-speaking actress in the same category as an American-speaking actress. That's just me. That's just my opinion about the Oscars. Anyway, this is the I Am Rapaport podcast. My name is Michael Rapaport. This was another emergency podcast. And the I Am Rapaport podcast is sponsored by American Giant clothing wear, American Giant sportswear, American Giant, American-made clothing built really fucking well. The slogan is
champion can't fuck with this, yo.
This is the I Am Rapaport podcast, and we out.